So your thought on that is that the way that that agent got that listing was to tell the seller, hey, I can get you X amount of dollars. And so they chose that agent over other agents because of course, what seller isn't going to want to be able to get the most,
Right.
if that's how
Yeah.
you determine a good listing agent based on, the amount that they tell you that they're going to be able to get for your home,
Yeah.
then you might pick that one. There is another scenario though that
Sure.
these overpriced listings could be originating from.
Sure.
Does anybody have an idea what besides the agent saying, "Hey, I can sell it for this," what might be happening?
The homeowner could say, this is what I have into it. This is what I need to get out of it if I'm going to move.
Yeah.
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 We actually we coach agents a lot who are dealing with sellers who have unrealistic expectations. And if you see a listing that the price never drops and you've maybe put in an offer that was, closer to the comp and it was just rejected out of hand or they countered it with, no, we want the asking price. That might be a situation of the seller being the one who's running the show and saying, if I don't get this amount of money for my house, I'm not selling. Why, I don't need to sell it. And unless you give me this number that I'm asking for, I'm not going anywhere. So it could be that situation as well.
Right. But as I mean, as our on our end, because we're the listing agents, we're
Mhm.
the ones that make the decisions to get the listings or not. Personally, it looks like in my opinion, personally, like it's not worth getting these listings at all because it just wastes your time versus trying to get like a listing that it's gonna sell. The seller's motivated and they're willing to work with you and they have more realistic expectations like versus like I just talked to one of this he's an acquaintance and he's gonna move to Arizona so he already sold one of his homes in I haven't talked to him in a long time and I just talked to him again first and then and he said that he's gonna sell like his primary residence and move to Arizona. So we talked about like, hey, yeah, I can help you selling your home, man. So in but the way the way to talk to him is like I can help you sell your home, and I was trying to tell him, hey, um we can run comps together. That way he sees like, because I don't want to get into a listing and try to sell it and then put all this time and all this effort and not in knowing that he won't accept a lower offer and it's just putting all this and maybe he's getting frustrated. So
Yep.
beforehand, I told him we can run comps together and you can look at them before listing, signing this contract.
Okay. Well, let's get some other input.
Uh-huh.
So Michelle and Corinne, as you're out there generating leads, looking for business, and you are confronted with a seller who has unrealistic expectations about what their home is going to sell for, how would you handle that?
I would definitely give them a market analysis. I would show them what has sold, what's on the market, um, that's most comparable to what he has. And I would just be very upfront, give them a realistic situation, and ultimately it's their decision. I would pursue it and go forward because whether it does or doesn't sell, if they truly want to sell at any point down the road, you've already have established a relationship with that person. But I would be very honest and forthcoming of this is what I see happening, and we don't know. And so I just think being completely honest and being there for somebody is what's going to drive the business.
Okay, so even if the seller just digs in their heels and they say, no, I think I can get this X amount of dollars for it, you would go ahead and sign the listing agreement and represent them as the listing agent.
Um, Within reason, I feel like if it's completely unreasonable, then maybe I would, look at that and say it's not worth my effort, energy, or time. But I think if it's somewhat close to where the market's at, I heard you say 60,000 under, he, to me, that doesn't seem like much of a difference. But,
It
yeah,
depends on
it depends on the
what your market
property.
is.
Yeah. I mean, if
Yeah,
you're looking at an oceanfront house and they're saying, okay, we want 3.5 million, and would you be willing to go with it, even though everything around them is selling for, 3 million, then yeah, I would. So it just depends on the area and, how unrealistic is it? So
yeah,
that's
no,
my
this
2 cents.
this is a house that I think it was like listed like 830 or 850. Then they lower it to like 790. And there was like people were saying, oh, this is not worth seven, like more like 730, because it's just like the condition of the house. It's just like the house that we're selling in the area that we're not selling for more than 750, more like 730. So
Okay.
yeah, other agents were saying the same thing, it's not worth, and they already lower it. So in the beginning when it was listed way overpriced. So whichever conversation went between the agent and the seller, and
Yeah,
yeah,
and you'll never, like, you're not a fly on the wall, so you'll never know exactly what happened.
right.
Corinne, how would you handle that situation with a seller like that?
Actually, before I joined PC coaching, I actually had the same situation happening, but the lady ended up choosing somebody else. So I blame it on two things. I blame it because I was asking for 3%, and I blame it on because I was realistic. Because they have a house that is on Zillow, the same house, same model, just few blocks away, not few, the house down, sold for 1,350,000. This lady wanted 1,650,000. Her pool need replastering, so you have to redo the pool. They didn't update their cabinet. It still have the yellowish natural color, and the carpet, it was dated. They didn't repaint the house. They didn't do anything, but they wanted top dollar for it. I told them seriously, I don't think, which was maybe my mistake, it would go for that much, and I show her, like, you have the same house down the street that went for 1.350. You will say, oh, you are, because they were kind of on the cul-de-sac, kind of a cul-de-sac. I said, oh, that's more desirable. And somehow I was trying to convince them that no, so they didn't like that. And I think also
Okay.
the 3%. So
So
yeah.
I have a question. I have some questions for you. You used the word, you said that was my mistake.
Mm,
So I'm curious. So you
mhm.
lost the listing to another agent. If you had it all to do over again, would you do something differently and why?
I will not try to convince them to lower their price. I will just say, okay, you want to sell it for that price? Let's do it. Because now it's been almost a month on the market, and they lower the price with the same agent.
With that agent?
Yeah, so yeah, maybe it's not going to go as low as the other house sold for, but still now they kind of see the reality on the market. And so I understand when some people just take a listing, and for me it would have been my first listing anyhow, and I would have done my best. I would just have done as much as I could to sell it at that price. And if he didn't, I think along the road they will see my effort and everything. They say, oh, maybe this lady was right. And so yeah, I definitely just will not try to convince them to list it at a lower price than they feel comfortable to do it. So that's what I think.
Okay, you wouldn't try and convince them, but would
Yeah.
you still share with them your opinion that, like, this is, I think this number is closer to, what your home is actually worth? Would you share that?
Yes, I would definitely do the CMA and show the same thing, but I would not want, because I think what I did wrong was trying to say, no, 150 is not, 60 is not good. You should go, that's what I think I did wrong. I was just supposed to just show them the fact and let them decide, that's what I think.
Okay,
So, yeah, it
okay.
didn't help that the other agent said that it was going to be at 2.5. So that didn't help either. So,
No, but we don't want you, going out there and working for less than you're worth. So
mm,
be careful with, lowering your compensation in order to get a listing, because everybody's like, well, I'll just do it for this one, but word travels. What you're hoping is that the people that you sell the house for right now are going to tell other people how great you were. And if they tell other people how great you were and what you charged them, that commission's you're gonna have a hard time leaving that lower commission behind and
mm.
in your price. So be careful with that. All right, so let's take this one step further. Let's say that for sake of argument, we've decided, okay, I would really like a listing. I would really love a $3.6 million listing. I'm gonna go ahead and enter into an agreement with this person. What steps can you guys take to protect yourself going forward from an overpriced, a listing you know is overpriced? What are some steps that you can take to protect either your time, your money, your reputation? What can you set up ahead of time to help that?
Emily, I think that some of the steps I would take for any listing, I mean, you're going to take photos. And I think that's something, I mean, it obviously depends on the listing and the expense that you want to have there with that. If you're going to take them from your phone, hire someone professional, if it's going to be, what is it, the AI photos, what is it called that they put in there with empty rooms? So that your expensive photos. I mean, I think that's something that needs to be addressed, the cost of that if the house does not sell. Is that money out of your pocket or is the owner willing to pay for that? Yeah, I'm just drawing a blank right now. I think revisiting it after a certain amount of time is important to say, okay, let's try it for 30 days this way. If we don't get a response, let's consider lowering the price. And take it 1 month at a time, 2 months at a time, depending on the listing, what it is. That's another way to kind of not get yourself into it a year down the road. You're still trying to sell it. Yeah, I mean, those are the first two things that come to my mind. So anybody else?
And those were definitely at the top of my list. For working into the contract, if you already have a pretty good idea that it's either not going to sell or not going to sell quickly, and you know that for me the photographer I hire is $300. So I don't want to be out that $300, right off the bat for a listing that may or may not ever actually become a transaction. So the ways I'm going to deal with it are either I'm going to just point blank ask the seller to pay for those photos, just included in my compensation is, or included in the price of marketing your home is, it's $300 for photos. So I'll be needing that type of thing and writing that into the contract. Or you can put it in, like you said, if the home does not sell in 30 days, seller owes listing agent the price reimbursement for the price of the photos. Collecting it is then you got to worry about collecting it is the only problem. Like, we've got it in there. Yeah, they owe us, but are you going to take them to small claims court? That sort of thing. They don't have money in escrow that escrow can just, hand over to you. So I would probably see if I could negotiate it up front. Maybe say, if you pay for the photos now, and if the home sells within 30 days, I reimburse you for the cost of the photos, or something along those lines, so that you're not relying on the goodwill of this person to eventually pay you back. I think that would probably be the better idea. And then as far as you talked about lowering the price, having the conversation, agents, if they are listing a home, dread that conversation of, oh God, I got to talk to my seller about lowering the price. I don't want to do this. And it's because it's in the moment and there's already frustration. The home's been on the market for a month. There hasn't been a single showing. The seller's already upset with you. You're stressed out because you haven't had a single showing. So work that out right at the beginning. Say, in 2 weeks, X and X is a date. We are going to have we're not even going to have a conversation. We're going to lower the price to X amount. Like, I'm willing to try it your way for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, but at such and such a date, if we don't have any offers, we're going to lower it to X amount. And that way that conversation's done. And if the seller at that point is so convinced that they're going to be able to sell it for their price, they're going to be like, sure, yeah, sure, fine, whatever. Yeah, in 2 weeks, we'll lower it to this price. And then in 2 weeks, you can just say, remember that conversation that we had? It's the date. It's time to lower it to that price. And it just takes the pressure off of you. So those are the 2 ways to approach that. Any other things that you can think of to help protect your time, your money, and your reputation with a listing that's overpriced?
So about that conversation, is it just going to be conversation, or you're going to make sure it's in writing?
You can put it in the contract if you want. Yep. Benjamin, you're smiling over there. At least it looks like you have thoughts.
No, that's a good idea. You said just put it in the contract. Yeah. Just put it in the contract. That's the best, that's the way to go. Put it in the contract. If they really don't, if they don't read it, that's their problem. But they should read it before signing it.
Well, I hope you would talk about it. As you're
Also,
talking about pricing, you say, this is what I'm gonna write in here.
so do you recommend to go over the contract with when signing the contract with the homeowner?
Yes, you need to go over
Oh.
the contract. Especially the really important parts. There's a lot of stuff in there that never comes up and you're
Uh-huh.
probably not going to go over that part in detail, but you need to go over your compensation, you need to go over the length of the contract, the listing price of the home. You need to talk about inclusions and exclusions. Are there things that they want to take with them that aren't the usual things,
Mm.
something that's attached or something along those lines. So yes, you want to talk about it ahead of time, because if you don't talk about it ahead of time and they have a problem with it later,
Yeah.
the problem is amplified times 10. If
Yes.
they have a problem with it before they've signed it, you guys can talk it out and everything can be fine. But if they are blindsided with something that they didn't even realize they were signing, you're going to have a very upset individual on your hands.
Yeah, that's what we don't want. I mean, that personally, that's not a good idea to have somebody upset about something went wrong because lack of communication. But I think what it looks like what Michelle said, it's a good idea to have them pay for the photos, and then if it sells, then reimburse them for those $300
Yeah.
that way. Because yeah, I don't know, it seems like having a listing for a long time. It's just not very good for your reputation because you're not being honest about the comps. Because running the comps is it's very important, probably one of the most.
Well,
Yeah.
I think Michelle addressed that though, and Corinne as well. They said we will tell the seller, this is where we think your home is valued. This is what we've done the comps, we've done the CMA. Here is my, report as to where I believe the value of your house falls. And so if they choose to ignore you, hang on, I'm gonna clear my throat and turn off.
Okay.
Sorry about that. If they choose to ignore you, that's on them. They're choosing to ignore you, but you have put it out there. You have told the whole story. You're not keeping it to yourself that you think they're wrong. And you don't have to put it like that. Oh, and by the way, you're wrong. You just say, I've run the figures and I've done a CMA on your home. Here it is. And I believe that your home is valued between here and here. And if they insist on putting it up here,
Yeah.
that's on.
Another question too. So, maybe Michelle has she has good ideas. Uh, so because I have this other business, and then when somebody wants to see the house, you have to go over there and open or have a lockbox. But if it's so, do you have to go over there at all? Maybe to show them to other clients. So it might be a good idea to be close by because then you have to drive like hours. If it's like, for example, uh yeah, 30 miles away, and then the traffic sometimes they're like around 3 o'clock, like I live in Escondido, like around 2 or 3 o'clock to get on the 15 south is like it doesn't move. You can be
So
there for like 2 hours. So it might not be a good idea to have a listing like down south in San Diego and try to show it like at 5 o'clock because it ain't gonna happen. If you leave and then you're gonna be stuck in traffic for 2 hours. I
so
was thinking about it. Uh-huh.
that's where lock boxes come in.
Uh-huh.
So for the most part, when you have a listing, you're not going to be the one showing it. The buyer's agents are going to be the ones showing it. So you
Okay.
put the lockbox on there, and then
Uh-huh.
the buyer's agent can access it. Now, Corinne was talking about a $3.6 million home. In
Yeah.
my area, once the listings hit about 2.5 million,
Yeah.
the listing agent is required to be present at showing.
At the
Just
showing,
because
right?
it's going to be a nice house with nice stuff. And so a lot of times you'll see in the remarks, listing agent must be present at showings. And so you might take that into account. But by far and large, you do not have to accompany every single buyer that wants to see that home.
Oh.
If it's a dual agency where you have a buyer who's interested in your listing, then yes, you'll take them. But for the most part, unless the seller says, I want you to be at every single listing, you don't need to be there.
You don't need to be there. Okay. Well, then it might be a good idea to just put a lockbox there, because if somebody it just, it's not to get the business, that's what we got to the business, has to get the listing, but we had to like make the right decisions before we ran to the problem, because then we don't want like I don't want, I would personally, I wouldn't want like the homeowners to be upset, over something that went wrong because we didn't really plan it very well. I mean, try to plan it as much as we can before committing to something more realistic as well too on our end.
Well,
Like,
and you can always refer out a listing that's too far away.
yeah,
You can
there's somebody
always
over there.
find an agent that's nearby to refer it to. And
Yeah.
then usually the split is about 30-70, 25-75. And so, that agent
Oh.
pays you a referral fee for giving them business.
Do you have to also have it in a contract, or is it just verbal?
No, you need a contract. We have a referral agreement that lays it out. The problem with referrals, though, is that there's nothing automatic triggered with escrow. You have to kind of follow up. You have to make sure that that agent is, informing escrow of the referral agreement and making sure that you get your piece of it.
It might be better if it will be through escrow, because that way you can just be wired to the bank account, the little piece of the pie.
Yeah, you can once it's going, you can, request all of that, but escrow's not going to know to go looking for it. So
Oh.
you have to make sure that that the other agent has let escrow be aware of it. Because let's say escrow's working with John Smith and
Yeah,
you, Benjamin P, call escrow and say, hey, I'm supposed to be included in this deal. Escrow's not going to listen to you because you are not the agent that they're dealing with. John Smith is the one that needs to let escrow know.
right. Then he needs to, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, any business is good. We just have to probably like get the right. I mean, you guys have done it for so long, you guys know it all. But the new agents,
No,
yeah,
I remember, I'm still there where any business is like, yay, I have business. Corinne's dealing with some really unsavory people, and she's only putting up with them because she wants business.
right,
But Corinne, what are some of the things that you've some lessons that you've learned over the last week or so?
I don't know where to start, Emily. Well, I first of all, if you meet somebody like you have a potential buyer and you say, I'm a real estate agent, I don't think that's a good idea. Because both issues came with the fact that they were real estate agent and brokers. So I don't think I will do that anymore. Except maybe if they are out of state, even that I don't think so. So that's my number one red flag now. And then somebody wants to lower your commission. I don't think that's another red flag. So especially being real estate agent, they know. So it was just too many. I'm good.
Yeah. So the risk is there that we want business so badly that we're willing to look past red flags and look and deal with someone that we think may be less than fully honest because we want business. Like I totally understand that. And hopefully we get to the point where we have enough business coming in that when people, talk to us like that, we're like, yeah, I'm good. You and I don't need to work together. But when you're starting out and when times are lean, you're gonna consider doing business with those people.
yeah, that's true. That is really true, Emily. Yeah, this guy, the same guy, he wants to list his house. He said probably in a couple weeks or something. Yeah, I doubt it. Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm not really holding my breath. But he said that his house that he sold, that the agent charged him 5% to sell it. So they split 2.5 and 2.5. And I was like, well, it's not too bad probably not less than that. Not less than 5% to list the house.
Well, and what was the price point of that home?
We haven't talked about that yet, but he wants.
You have an idea?
No, I have not. We just talked very briefly because he brought up that he wants to move. He went to Arizona to move to look for like another, because he's gonna move his business, and he's gonna move over there. So
Okay.
he went over there to see what like he's gonna get a commercial, like an industrial unit, and he
Mhm.
went over there to see how much they are, and just and then
Okay.
so he's considering it his house, and I said, well,
Well,
let me help you with
uh,
that.
as far as our concessions, our commissions go, most brokerages won't let you take less than 2%. So that's usually like your floor. You can't go more less than that, even if you want to. But one of the things that we see a lot is a fluctuation between 2 and 3 based on the price of the home. If you're dealing with lower priced homes, mobile homes, although there's a $1.3 million mobile home
Okay.
area right now, but for usually the mobile homes are on the lower end of things. That's where you want to stick to your guns for 3, especially mobile homes, because they're more of a pain in the rear than homes. Like you have to do more to get a transaction to close on a mobile home than you do on a single family home. So you should stick to your guns for 3% when it's a lower price point and more work for you. But as that price point starts to climb, that's when it becomes more and more acceptable to drop it to 2.5 and possibly even 2. 2% of $3 million is a lot of money. So, to like be, to be looking at that and be like, oh no, I'm going to stick 2.5. You might want to take a moment and think that through. And even these, we see these, $25 million listings, and we're like, whoa, that would be so fantastic. Well, a lot of the times they're dropping theirs down for those, because 1.5 to 2% of $25 million is an obscene amount of money. So you have to take that into account. But for most of what we're dealing with, somewhere between 2 and 3 is perfectly acceptable.
Weren't the commissions for mobile homes like 10%, because they were only like $60,000 or
It
80?
could easily be. Yeah, you can ask for like 3% does not need to be the top. If you're, I think people that do land do that a lot,
Oh,
where they raise it quite a bit up above 3, because land is usually a lot lower price point and it's a lot more work, because selling land is hard, because it has a very small buyer pool. So it's usually on the market for a long time. It usually takes a whole lot of legwork and marketing in order to, get the word out there. And so agents that are selling land, I hope, are asking for a real good commission.
yeah. So some of those mobile homes, they were only like $60,000. So how much is the
Mhm.
commission of that, or 80,000?
Yeah, that's pretty small.
Very small. That's a lot of work for very, very little.
Yep. So you want to take that into account when you're working on your listing agreement with those sellers.
Aren't there some agents just specialized in mobile homes, just mobile homes?
Mhm. Oh yeah, definitely.
Like,
Because it's a niche
yeah.
thing. Like you need to know the right lenders, and you need to know the right, way around some of those management companies. It's definitely a specialized area. Lori is our resident expert coach. Anytime something mobile home comes up, both Jodi and I are like, Lori, you're up.
Yeah, for 3% of an $80,000 mobile home, it's like only $22,000, 2,400. That's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So keep that in mind.
but mine is the 20%. That's $1,900. Mine is the photos, which is $300.
Yeah.
That's $1,600.
Hmm.
Yeah, it probably needs to be higher, but
Yeah, keep that in mind.
yeah, there was a guy, he's an employee, what's it called, Food for Less, or something. We'll get some grocery and stuff, Food for Less. So they have good prices on meats and stuff. But anyways, I was talking to him, and he's like, he want to buy a mobile home. So like maybe I should refer it to somebody that specializes, because mobile, they're really cheap, and they're probably a lot more work because of the rules of the mobile home parks. If the land is not included, it has to be a lease. There has to be more rules and stuff like that.
Yep.
So
And then, a way around that would be to educate yourself and become one of those people who specialize in mobile homes.
almost.
If you live in an area where that is a good chunk of what's out there
Yeah.
for business, that you would want to take advantage of that and educate yourself as to what's necessary. Find somebody in your office who's really experienced with it, and
Mobile.
pick their brains.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to work for $1,600, Emily.
If it's the difference between paying your rent and not paying your rent,
Yeah.
that might change your opinion.
Maybe there's some nice homes here in the area. There's some new developments. There's a guy from different color Williams in San Diego. He is like he has to drive at least like we like I said he has to go to this traffic. And he's selling this 1.3, $1.4 million homes. They're new developments. He's selling like every time like I have this little business here, the little shop. Every time I like on the weekends when I go by this newer development, there's like dinner and then open house. And it's like and then I went over there and just to meet with them and chat with them. And there was a different home. So he's selling a whole bunch of 1.3, 1.4. And
Nice.
he's like from a different, he's not even around here. So he has
But
to.
that sounds like that's worth his time to make
Well,
that.
it is 1.3, 1.4. That is
Yeah.
definitely. So
All right. We spent a lot of time on the less than perfect seller. Anybody else dealing with anything that you want to spend our last 15 minutes masterminding around? I think we handled the seller pretty well. We've put them in their place. We've, figured all that out, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. Did we miss something?
No, you covered it. I would like to talk about a seller who wants to do coming soon and what the thoughts are around a coming soon.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I have thoughts, but before I jump in, Corinne or Benjamin, do you have thoughts about coming soon? Should you
No.
do it? If you do, how long?
Oh yeah. How long?
Actually, the house we are living in now, we bought it when it was listed as coming soon. So he was not even listed yet. Well, I think that's what it is. It wasn't listed active yet on the MLS. It was just coming soon. And it was, to me, I've always seen it like a good way to advertise, kind of increase the demand for me. That I'm not sure what it is now, but that was during COVID. So that before the house closed, there was already like 8 people who put an offer on it and it was still on coming soon. So I think it's a good strategy, maybe to increase the demand.
Now let me ask you a question about that. Did you make an offer sight unseen?
Yeah, we made an offer. We were not here, but for them to accept our offer, we had to fly in to look at the house first for them. But that was already at the point where we had 3 people whose offers were the seller wanted to get the seller would like the offer, so he say, okay, before we even accept, you guys should come and visit the house and tell us yes you like it before we accept. So that's what happened.
Okay. For my MLS anyway, and I would think it would be most MLSs, when you have a listing as coming soon, you may not do showings. No public showings, no private showings, no showings. And it shows in the definition that coming soon is literally, well, they say that the reason they have coming soon is because the property's not quite ready. Maybe the sellers need to declutter. Maybe the landscaping needs to get done real quick or paint or something like that. So the idea of coming soon is I have this listing and it's not ready to be seen. And so they're saying no showings. You may not show during coming soon. You can accept offers. You can entertain and even accept offers when it's still in coming soon. But if you make it contingent, so a lot of things are saying either the buyer puts in the offer contingent upon viewing the home and deciding we like it. And then Corinne, like you said, the seller's not going to accept it until you've seen it, because why waste their time if somebody walks through the front door and says, oh, the pictures didn't make it look like this, I'm out. So they would have had to change the status in my MLS anyway. They would have had to change the status to active in order to show you the home. So Michelle, that's something to keep in mind as you do coming soon, is you will get phone calls from agents asking to go see it. And they either ignore the fact that you're not supposed to, or they don't know that you're not supposed to, but they'll say, hey, any chance we can get in there early? Can I come see it? I see that it goes, you're going to make it live on Thursday. Can I see it on Wednesday? Like, why are you asking me to break the rules? No, you may not see it on Wednesday. So keep that in mind. there's lots of people that think you should only be coming soon for a few days, like less than a week. Sometimes you'll see them on there forever and ever and ever. You know, I think they can be coming soon for like 3 weeks. And I wouldn't do that. You're gonna lose any of the excitement of a new thing on the market if you leave it that long. Why does your seller want to do coming soon?
To draw excitement. Yeah, the
draw-
thought of like putting it in on a Monday and then doing your first open house Saturday, Sunday. And my biggest question about it is, does the MLS count the dates of the first 5 days and then Saturday, Sundays, days 6 and 7, now that it's open to the public?
Mine does not. Coming soon does not count towards days on market. It'll
Okay.
show, as long as it's coming soon, it shows 0 days on market. And then even the first day that it goes active, it shows 0 days on market, and it doesn't show 1 until the next day.
Okay. So I guess the mastermind would be around different thoughts and ideas to draw that excitement of interest.
Yeah,
That's
I think sold 72 or 72 sold. They say go coming soon on Monday because a lot of things get put in the MLS on Monday. Realtors have, gone on, had their weekend away and they all sit down at their computer on Monday. So coming soon, first thing Monday morning to show everybody that one. They say go live on Thursday, actually, but then they say don't put in your remarks, no public showings until after the open house or after the weekend's open houses or something along those lines. And by saying no public showings, it leaves you as the listing agent the opportunity, those agents who call and ask for the early look, you can decide whether or not you're going to allow the early looks on Thursday and Friday before the open house.
Yeah, I think Lori even mentioned at one point you can draw some excitement around doing it that way, and whatever the time frame was, like if it's Thursday, do a broker's tour only, and then come Friday, Saturday, Sunday, do open house to the public kind of
Yeah.
thing. But the same principle around that. Yeah.
Mine's tough because my broker's tour is on Tuesdays
Oh,
and you have to be live. You can't do a broker's tour as a coming soon. So I didn't get to I didn't get to do that for my last one because I really wanted to have a broker's tour. But that is generally what I do. Coming soon on Monday, live on Thursday, open house Saturday, Sunday.
okay. No, I appreciate it. Was curious on feedback on that.
And it sounds like it worked for Corinne.
There you go.
She's
Yeah.
in the home. Like that's in the background.
So for agents who do not want to do coming soon, what is typically the day of the week they are listing?
It happens all days, but if you want that excitement, even without it coming soon, I would go live on a Thursday. You need a few days to get people planning to go to your open houses on Saturday and Sunday. In my case, with the broker tour on Tuesday, maybe go live on Tuesday so you can do the broker tour and then have that hype building up for the open houses over the weekend.
Do you think it really creates that hype with doing the coming soon, or do you think it just
I think it does.
okay?
And more than just hype, I think it gives people time to put that home into their catalog of things that they're going to show their buyers and that sort of thing. Because if you just go live on Friday, somebody who's not checking the MLS every day is probably not going to make it to your open house over the weekend. And then if you're hoping to collect some offers on that weekend and be in escrow by Monday, you're missing out on the people that were slacking and weren't checking the MLS.
Right. No, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you. That does make sense. Perfect.
So would it be a good idea to do that for every listing, Emily? Kind of like add it on a Monday so they have enough time during the week to
Yeah,
the open house.
That's how I choose to do it. If I have the luxury of that, that's definitely how I choose to do it. And as Michelle was asking about days on market, by doing coming soon on Monday instead of active, that means that, maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're not counting against your days on market. So it's still gonna show 0 until you go active. Because lots of people will look at days on market. If something's been on the market for, like, especially what we're dealing with right now, if something's been on the market for 14 days or more, you're like, oh geez, it's a dud.
Mhm.
Most everything that's priced correctly is in escrow before 14 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep. I finally have convinced, I have a pair of buyers from out of the area who are like, oh, well, we're planning on coming up in 3 weeks. We'll go look at that one then. And I'm like, it's not gonna be here. And they haven't, so far, there wasn't a listing that they really wanted to see. So they were kind of like, oh, whatever. And then one came up that they wanted to see. And I said, it's priced really well. It's gonna go into escrow quickly. Can you come this weekend? Because I think it was like Thursday. Oh, no, we can't come this weekend. We'll come next weekend. So I got to call them on Monday and tell them that it was pending. So I think I finally got the message through. These, like, if they're good ones, they're gonna go. You gotta act.
So it might be a good idea as well to, if you have a buyer, to do some market analysis on the house they're gonna see, because like if they want to see like like 2 weeks from now, it's not gonna be there anymore. Not even.
Well, and if you are working with a buyer on a regular basis, that, like, you're really working with one, you're gonna be on the MLS almost every day. You're gonna be looking at things that are what they're interested in. You've probably got them in an MLS search, and hopefully you've CC'd yourself so that every time they get an email, you get an email. And so you're becoming an expert on what it is that they're looking for, and you'll know if something comes up, and you'll get to where you can see the price and you'll know if that's one that's going to go quick or not.
So that's kind of experience, right? Like the more experience you get, the more you know if a
Yeah,
house.
but it's also just market knowledge.
Oh,
Yeah, like, you should be paying attention to the market in your area. I have multiple Sage searches on the MLS that are just for me. They're based on area, they're based on type, and when I have an extra 15 minutes, I just click through there. My MLS has a thing called Hot Sheets,
uh-huh.
and it takes the search, and it'll just pop up to me anything that's new in that search in the last, I think it's like 24 hours, 3 days, 7 days. There might be one that's longer. And so as long as I've been doing my job as a realtor, I have it on the 3-day one. And I just pop through the hot sheets and I see whatever's been new in that search in the last 3 days. And you trust me, you'll know the houses. You won't need to do a CMA on every one. You'll know.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Just being on the market, being on the MLS constantly.
Yep.
Yeah, there was one agent one time, I was trying to get this investment property, and like he knew everything about his area. Like he specialized somewhere in like Hillcrest or something. And like he knew it, like he knew like every zip code. He like knew every zip code, the price of every zip code. Yeah, he was talking about it. He's like, oh, in this zip code, this price this much, but it's not gonna be in this zip code. Like he knew. He knew all his
Yeah.
neighborhood, like the area like he was selling.
You'll be that agent too.
You'll be that agent too?
You will. You will be
Oh,
that agent.
probably Corinne. It looks like Corinne. Maybe Michelle.
What's that?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Maybe you guys will be in like
All
that.
3 of you are going to be the agents who you'll know the market. But it is really, like, I check, but it's not until I have a buyer who wants a certain thing that I become an expert at what that buyer wants. And then once I find that buyer a home, then I kind of, that expertise kind of fades a little because I'm no longer looking at that, horse properties. All I ever look at is horse properties. And then I find them a spot, and then suddenly I'm not an expert on horse properties anymore. But
It
How
looks
long would you say you spend on looking for houses for one of your clients? Like you have all the characteristics, most of them, and you already have their portal set up. You already have the initial sorted, the decide, the undecided, the no, and so from that time, how long do you take in a day to manage that account?
It doesn't take a lot of time. That's why I was saying about I CC myself on the MLS search. So I do make the MLS searches a little broad to make sure that I'm getting, like a little below the price range and a little above the price range. So I'm not missing anything. And then if they said they want 3 or more bedrooms, I will probably put 2 or more bedrooms on the search just in case, something with 2 bedrooms, but a den comes up, and then that serves their needs because they only needed an office or whatever. So I have a fairly broad search, but every morning at 8 o'clock my MLS sends out the results of whatever search I have going, and I make sure I look at it. It's just my email. That's how I check my email, and then I go on each one and I see what's new. And I know my client is getting that one too. And if there's something that's like, oh my God, this is perfect, I'll probably text them and say, hey, make sure to check your email. 123 Main Street looks perfect for you. If it's not, I'll just let it go. I'm like, these aren't ones that are, really going to jump out at them. The only time that I go back into the MLS is to change their search because they've, told me something that's way different from what I have going. Or if I've been looking for them for a long time and nothing is coming up, I might go in and start trying to find outside of the box listings. And, and I'll spend a fair amount of time in that one time, but that's only going to happen like every few weeks. I'm not doing that every day. All righty, it's about 1 o'clock. So thank you for being the 3, dedicated masterminds of the day. And I hope you got good feedback, good information, things that you can go out into the world with and do good with. So let's see, what's today? Thursday. So tomorrow is Ask a Coach is at noon tomorrow. If anybody has any questions going into the weekend, I will be there. And Kickstart is Monday at 8:45 for anybody who would like to do conversation practice and get your lead gen done with a little bit of company and moral support. So I hope you guys, I don't see you tomorrow at Ask a Coach. I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Yeah, you
You
too.
too, Emily. Thank you.